Yeah. OnChain revolution, you're not bullish enough. OnChain revolution, you're not bullish enough. Every day we steady looking at the market, and we gon' tell you how to get started. Chain abstraction, fear and greed index, always looking at price action. Roll call in advance, you don't even gotta mention. I swap it in the deck, you're not bullish enough. Traded in the size, you ain't trenching enough. We do that market recap. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to rehab. Shizzy and Yagobi. OnChain revolution, network in the art. Every day we go live, baby, you know where we are. We mention all the networks and the crypto. Need some more liquidity, flipping and trading is the recipe. Too many protocols to count. I get high and I'm never coming down. Number go up, then I'ma say peace. Yeah, you thought that I was gonna leave. Yeah, we just getting started, man. OnChain revolution. Every day. Bring the beat back. Eyes everywhere, gotta be careful with volatile meme coins. You can get some bread if you round trip it, then you gon' regret. All this information in my head. EYOR, touch grass instead. Nobody really knows how it's gonna end up today. Somebody gotta tell you what's happening today. I don't let the money change me, no way. OnChain revolution, here to stay. Yeah, Sam Sage, man. Voodoo 2 on the way. Yeah. Nicky's. Yeah. OnChain revolution. OnChain. OnChain revolution. Bitcoin not an illusion. Market recaps and I do a roll call. You're not bullish in the vocal. Look at the price action. Yeah, send it to the deck. Sell it through the stack. Order knows the best. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to read. If you end up bearish, gotta put the knee pad. Let me see the comments. Look at the fear and greed index. Bridge. Look at the chart.
Welcome back to OnChain Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire crypto ecosystem. What's up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. We're live from the OnChain Hour, and this one is going to be, it's going to be as good as Bitcoin dominance is about to be get. Bitcoin dominance is on its way up right now. We do see it around 59%. It's been on this downward spiral since July, but it does feel like September has been up. Today is also the last day of September. What does that mean? Well, we're about to enter potentially the biggest month in crypto, which is normally the October after the halving, right? So the halving was last year, and now we're actually in the second year after the halving, and that October is usually the best. And can we expect it? I don't know. Like, I'm sitting here right now, guys, and it's just like, it's hard to be in crypto right now. If you're here, if you're watching, you are absolutely legendary. But crypto is one of the hardest places to be right now because it feels like every single time that we get momentum like we had yesterday, we get smacked with some macro stuff that we got today. Every time we get momentum about ETH potentially hitting its all-time high, we get smacked and send it back down. Alt season seems like something that is told as in myths, right? Something you're talking about. Hundreds of years ago, there was a thing called alt season, and it was the greatest time of our lives, right? It seems like something that is a dream world at this point. But will we get it? I mean, I'm still in the camp that says, you know, if we get liquidity into the markets right now don't have a lot of liquidity in them. And liquidity that is here, you're seeing it being traded in perp stacks. We're just giving your money to Binance. You're giving your money to the people at Aster. You're giving your money to the people at Hyperliquid. And right now, it is what it is. It's just gambling right now. That's the only way you can make money right now is gambling. But I think better days are ahead. I think that, you know, once we get into the latter part of this year, November, December, even January, I know that keeps getting pushed back, but I'm kind of in the camp that Q1 is going to be the most bullish part of the cycle. You know, I'm kind of everyone just thinks it's going to be Q4, and I just feel like that this has been hammered so much that it's going to make us wait. They're going to make us wait. And what happens if the end of 2026 is actually the real bull run, right? What if we got to wait till? Can we wait? Will we have enough liquidity to get that far? I don't think so, guys. I think a lot of people are going to be out of crypto by that point. But is that what they want? Is that what the big boys want? Do they want to kind of suppress these markets for you to get out of your your bigger DeFi products so they can come in and swoop them up? Who knows? Who really knows? I hope that's not the case. But with these TradFi people in crypto now, you're seeing more and more manipulation happening, whether that's from the the exchange mafia of Binance and IBIT and all the OKX and all those guys, or it's happening from the TradFi mafia. But I don't know. There's no winners right now. There's only losers in the crypto market. But I think and hoping that changes. But without further ado, let's bring our partner here, as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
What's up, man? Please tell me that you're still bullish on Q4 because I'm losing faith, man, as we enter it today or tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm still bullish on Q4. That's always been my main thesis, is that like at the end of the bull run year, that is something that has always been consistent. Doesn't matter what bull run year it is, that's always happened, right? So, whether it trickles over into January, maybe even February, or maybe just the beginning of January or not, that's something that is something I'm a little bit unsure of. But I do expect there to be some energy up in a part of October, definitely November, and then a portion of December, and then that's what I feel most confident about.
Yeah, I'm just worried though, because like even if we do push up right now with all the perps, dexes, and stuff like that, I just feel like too many people would win, right? Especially going to see like some people go 20, 30x's on stuff, and I feel like this is the hardest time in crypto because of the perp dexes, because of the leverage trading aspect of crypto. I just feel like every single time that we get positive, they come in and they liquidate you. Like, will that ever stop?
I do think so, but I also think that the reason why that the perp dexes got a lot of attention is because people wanted to kind of have these in and out type of transactions, and the way you can maximize that, right, is by taking leverage, right? And so that has become very popular, especially the last 3 to 6 months. And but there's gonna be like those players, they'll benefit regardless too, because like let's say that it does slow down on the the short side, right? Or at least like the liquidation, trying to liquidate longs, I guess, for I don't know, maybe like an 8-week stretch, not straight, but just majority of that 8-week stretch. Then they're gonna enjoy that rise up. Right now, do I think a lot will get wrecked on the way down, whether that's going to be the second half of December or a part of January of 2026? Yes, because they'll be in this mindset of like win, 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 and that's it. But I do think we get that if leverage traders are going to be continually be aggressive, they'll experience success on the way up, right? So the reason why we haven't seen success in spot though is because it hasn't really been a spot market, unless you're talking about the top 10 tokens or in some outliers as well, right? Like Hyperliquid, if you held that, I guess from a year and a half ago, you would be in a really good spot. But for majority of the alts, it has not been a spot market at all. The kind of hodl strategy hasn't worked, and I think that we're going to go into a stretch where it does work for a shorter period of time, and then we'll see what 2026 looks like.
Yeah, 100%. What would happen though to the markets if Q4 wasn't bullish? Maybe we get Bitcoin running up back up to 135, maybe new all-time high, but very, very similar to what we've already experienced over the last 2 years, right? Where Bitcoin runs, but nothing else runs. What happens if potentially the bull run is November of next year, and we have to wait till after the primaries of next year to kind of start getting moving? Would that destroy the crypto market? Another year of just sideways chop?
Yeah, I feel like it would discourage a lot of people. I think you would be tested very, in some very drought style conditions, right? Even further. And if you make it through something like that, then you're just here to stay. You might be like one of those homeless people that just have like a cardboard saying like, I hold such and such token, but like I don't care about my day-to-day necessities. But yeah, it would definitely discourage a lot of the market that's already kind of been discouraged, and they're the ones that are still here are the survivors, the ones with true conviction, right? But why would you exit right before Q4? You gotta see if that plays out. But yeah, I do think that it would be very bad if we had a horrible Q4, which I just don't see the percentages of that happening though being very high at all.
I hope you're right. I really do. Cause I'm starting to lose a little faith here. But let's jump into the first topic of today, which is Bitcoin dominance signals the last big move. So our guy Benjamin Cohen, somebody who has been pretty much right this entire bear market, he says, okay, look, dominance is going higher. Back to 59. You take a look at the dominance chart. As you can see, we did have this drop over here in November of 2024, dropping, for about a month before complete upward momentum again. We did see a drop here in July, and now we're down here at 59. Benjamin Cohen is saying, potentially back to 64, 63. Which means potentially if the way this thing moves, right, you're probably going to see something on the sense of, another probably until the back end of October, which means that Bitcoin's running, but potentially other stuff is lagging heavily behind it. If Bitcoin moves 6%, that means altcoins are not moving at all.
Yeah, there is scenarios that were in the past cycles to where Bitcoin and Ethereum run together, on the aggressive side. But it doesn't typically last for too long, right? But I do think that Bitcoin does start this kind of reset of this uptrend cycle that we're about to see heading into Q4. And I think that's okay, because let's say that, it doesn't even have to even go into that trajectory. We could have some huge, gigantic days for Bitcoin, and that kind of speeds it up. You know what I mean? And so, it doesn't have to be stretched out to the end of October. It could go to the middle if we have some hyper aggressive days the next 2 weeks, and then maybe Ethereum picks up, right? So, Benjamin Cohen is a guy that goes over the Bitcoin dominance. I watched some of his latest episode, and he talked about this. He's not saying that, alts aren't going to have their moment. He's just saying that right now things are going to flow back to Bitcoin, and it's going to find its footing. And then that's whenever you'll see Ethereum start to pick back up, and then some of these alts as well. So, October is the month that a lot of this probably will happen, but it's going to be Bitcoin first. So does Bitcoin run to the second week of October, or does it run to the third week of October aggressively and then start to transition more aggressively to the alt markets? That's the question.
Yeah, 100%. And let's take it back to last cycle. Bitcoin dominance was up at like 73%. So from September 19 to about December 20. So about January 2021 is kind of when Bitcoin kind of hit its peak. And then we obviously know what happened in the year 2021. Bitcoin dominance dropped. Everyone was talking about the flipping of Ethereum over Bitcoin by market cap. It never came ever. But, as you can see here, we never really had a pull up like at all, right? In this sense of dominance drop. We did have one back here, but it eventually came up and it actually almost passed the old all-time high. So something like that would be drastic, though, if we came back up and actually touched it again before we come back down. That would be really bad if Bitcoin gets back up to 868. That means we're going to be potentially no alt season, just Bitcoin season for a long time.
Yeah, the biggest difference in that time period, though, if you look at it, was that was happening and started in when like the winter of 2020. And then it really kind of kicked off some of these other alts in the spring of 2021. That's what I always talk about, is like we didn't get that experience that you're looking at right there, to where it bottomed in July or right before July this year. And so alts and Ethereum and stuff, they didn't necessarily like have to be so hyper aggressive to the upside, but they did experience some sort of energy kick up once that started to happen, right? And I mean, that is huge, like downtrend. And then you see for the rest of 2021, once it bottomed there, it was kind of up and down until you got to, well, I guess it bottomed right there before July, and then it worked its way up into the end of 2021 and then beginning of 2022. But then after that, it was just up and down until we got to 2023, which if you look at that, that's interesting, right? Because the Bitcoin starts to pull up in 2023. What happened in 2023 too?
Yeah, the ordinals.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, right? So that would, people were wondering what was so good about 2023. Well, there's that innovation, but there was also Bitcoin kind of working its way back up to show strength and dominance. But it's been pretty much up only. Like there hasn't been anything close to what we saw in that pull down of late 2020 and early 2021. Do we see something like that? I don't think so. Bitcoin is too strong, but maybe like if we get even half of that when alt season runs, that could be a really aggressive alt season. I guess that leg was pretty strong down that we did get in June of this year. If you go all the way to the front, so that's a decent leg down. But I don't know if that's all we get, and we might get a small kind of correction after it goes up, or do we get like something half of what we saw in late 2020 and early 2021? That's the question, because that's when alts will probably really kind of shoot up. But
yeah,
I don't know, man. Every cycle year is different, right? It's just how much of a difference is it going to be?
Yeah, man. And my biggest fear though is like, obviously we're right here. Right, it's like if you take a look at this chart right here, we're right there. My biggest fear is going back up and putting in a new cycle high for dominance, which would be potentially 66, 67. But that would mimic pretty much this entire, right? It's all this huge uptrend we've just seen, huge downtrend over months and over pretty much over a year, and then going back up, touching it one more time before the last hurrah. So that would be my biggest fear right now, is if we potentially go sideways here for a little while and then go back up one more time before down, because that takes us into 2027. That basically is saying that the year 2026 is potentially a sideways year again before 2027. So I don't know. I'm really hoping that history does not repeat, and then we just head down from here. But we will see. It's time, man. There's a lot of things that happen in crypto. Like, I mean, you're talking about everyone is building for crypto. It's just, we're just not seeing the price action show that, as we talk about the news every day. But let's kind of get into that. But before we do, everything on my board is red again today. This is hard to wake up to every single day. It feels like yesterday was different, but every single day you're seeing this red. And what is green today? You're seeing dominance. The NASDAQ just turned green, and NVIDIA, which is up 2.5%, probably why the NASDAQ turned green today. But yeah, so it's just, everything's just red and beaten down. It feels like, the whole month of September, really. And then let's find out why, though. So shutdown fears are rattling markets. Congress can't agree on funding. Government runs out of cash. That happens tonight at 12 a.m. Eastern time. This is kind of what you're kind of seeing on CNBC. Government shutdown. This is the big story of today. You had Vice President Vance come out yesterday and say, we don't think there's going to get a deal done. That's what kind of shook the markets today, because everyone was expecting a deal to get done today, but he came out and said, don't expect it. I don't think it's going to happen. It could be just tactics to kind of get a deal done, but who really knows? But what do you think about this, in the sense of, if the government shuts down? We've seen the last Trump administration, the government shut down for quite a while, 3-4 months. Do you potentially see that again?
Yeah, I think that the markets are rattled because they want some stability, and it doesn't, at this point, it doesn't matter where the instability is coming from, right? Government shutdown means that like there's going to be federal workers that don't get paid. I believe military personnel too, actually, which really sucks, right? Because you got people that are stationed. I mean, they'll get the back pay and all that stuff, but like it'll be frozen during the kind of what is it called, the pause or whatever, shutting down. And so markets just want that stability. They want that consistency, and we haven't seen much of that in this first year of this administration, whether it's the economy, whether it's social instability, or and now we're talking about the government shutdown. So hopefully this doesn't last too long. Hopefully they can figure something out. But look, I mean, it's on both sides. It's not one side of the aisle either. Like there's some pretty crazy demands on the other side, the opposition side, and I'm pretty sure they think that the way that the current administration is doing things with this spending bill is crazy as well. So I mean, they just can't get on the same page at the end of the day. But we need stability. I'm telling you, that will be the biggest. If we can find stability in this, like the U.S., right, in terms of the administration, the government, I feel like 2026 could be the craziest year for markets if we can find stability. But that's, looking harder and harder in terms of actually getting legitimate, genuine stability.
Yeah, no, I agree. Isn't Congress though, or whoever, isn't a majority Republican? Like, I don't understand how we can't get something done when majority is Republican.
Well, I think you still got to get a couple votes from the other, side of the aisle, and so um, there's different tactics too and strategies and all that stuff that goes into all this stuff, right? So this is
Right.
obviously to try to stir up a situation and point fingers. That's all they do in our government. They just point finger. They create an issue, point fingers at the other side, and try to get public, I guess, like emotion on their side, which is a sad thing.
Yeah, 100%. So something else is kind of shaking the the stock market as well, is historic shakeup in Washington. Over 100,000 federal workers are set to resign today, with reports about 154,000 in total will exit this week, the largest mass resignation in U.S. history. This comes from Trump's administration deferred resignation program. Workers signed agreements months ago to resign effective September 30th. But they're still receiving full pay and benefits, but not working. In other words, 150,000 federal employees have been on leave with pay for months. Today, those resignations take formal effect. The goal to shrink the federal workforce by 300,000 jobs by end of the year, about 12.5% cut, saves 28 billion annually, and give the new administration tighter control on agencies. After today, that the deferred resignations agreed end the status not federal employees officially terminate. So that means no more paychecks, no more federal benefits. So you're seeing a lot of these people now are going to be ending up on, unemployed documents, right? Obviously, they did resign and they spent the last, 6-7 months potentially just getting free money and being home. But now that every one of these people have to go find jobs. And they're saying, one of the stocks people were saying that this is a bigger deal than most people think, because a lot of these guys are very, they've been working with in the federal agency for a long time, and they're going to get jobs, highly sought after jobs, and which could potentially nix people into unemployment going into this as well. So potentially could see a huge jump up in unemployment coming the next few weeks because of this.
Yeah, and what do you do to resolve that? You got to, uh, pour some energy into the economy, right? So some of these companies can have more capital to be able to hire more
Yeah.
people, because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be going on these job sites. And I mean, look, every jobs report, there's around 6 figures of people that are reporting, that they are looking for a job. They're unemployed, right? So that's going to, for this, at least for this next one, that's like you said, it's going to increase, maybe double or close to it. But the Fed can maybe try to help soften that blow, by getting the economy going. That's what everybody wants
Yeah.
it to do anyways. So we'll see if Jerome actually, because he says he always wants to make sure he does his job, and one of the biggest things is unemployment that they look at to try to make sure they can mitigate that and make sure that that is stable, right? And so they're gonna have to do some work to make that stable.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, jump to the next thing now. The SEC is considering allowing stocks to trade on chain, with plans to launch quickly. The information reports. So the the SEC is going to be allowing stocks to be put on chain, regardless of if that company wants it or not. Potentially trading 24/7 in markets. The days of closing at 4 p.m. could be over. The days of opening at 9:30 could be over. How do you feel about this shakeup that potentially happened to TradFi coming into our world of 24/7 trading?
So I think they've been preparing themselves a bit, right, for this moment. But I think there's a struggle between TradFi and our world, but it's not necessarily all of the players that are involved with TradFi. The brokerages and stuff. I think they're more looking forward to being in the digital space, digital asset space. I think banks are having the biggest problem. I think banks are the ones that are being more concerned about not being able to control everything, right? I know that's not a direct correlation to this, but for this, I think that the players in TradFi are okay with this. You know what I mean? Being able to have, I guess, digital stocks at available 24/7. There's going to be more leverage type of approach to it as well. They already have kind of options in their world and stuff like that to trade in that aspect. But yeah, so the SEC is showing that it kind of wants to merge these two industries as well, because it's starting to figure out exactly where they fit into this new world, working with the CFTC instead of, fighting each other and to say, this is our jurisdiction, this is our jurisdiction. They're working together to make it better, in my opinion. But moving quickly is also just a good sign that they want to get this done, in a timely manner.
Yeah, 100%. But do you think the SEC is considering like the fact that there could be a whole bunch of anons that are coming in and buying Apple stock? So that just opens the door for a lot of manipulation, right? A lot of it to kind of come in from the Eastern world, because if you buy up to a certain percentage of stock, I think it's like 9 to 11%, you have to actually register with the CFTS and put out a formal document and stuff like that, saying that you took a minority share in the company. Do you think they're ready for people to just be able to come in with 9 different wallets and just suck up as much of that stock as they want?
Well, I think they're going to have guardrails around, stocks to trade on chain. I think there might be some sort of regulation or rules, I guess determining where they can trade. And I'm okay with that, because the last thing you want to happen is to have a huge dilution of shares, right? If there's a synthetic version to where they can figure out that works out, I'm sure that they will make sure that it doesn't harm the stock price in itself too much, right? Like that's got to be something that's on their plate to make sure it doesn't happen, right? So maybe like pre-selected areas like Ondo or like Base, because Coinbase is strongly affiliated with it. Of course, Robinhood will probably throw their name in the hat for something like that. So and then they'll probably start looking at some of these unregulated protocols that are going to be trading like these synthetic versions of these stock as well, right? That how does that affect the stock price in itself? That's going to be important. So look, the SEC is a capable organization. They've been around forever. Have they always acted in good faith? No, I don't believe that, but I do believe that they're capable of setting the right regulations and things like that, right? And so they're going to work with the organizations that can help make this area strong and also keep the stock prices. That's going to be the biggest concern, I think. And if they're making statements like this, then they already have figured out the solution.
Yeah, 100%. And that it's probably a centralized version of this, right? But do you think they allow for like open door trading to where it's never closed, or do you think they try to put limits on when you can trade in here and stuff like that?
I think they allow open door trading but like where it's traded, I think is where they're going to be more
so Coinbase potentially and stuff like that. So
yeah,
gotcha. All right, remember this guy? Remember Murad?
Yes, I do remember him.
He had about $50 million in here in February, and today it's 10 million. He's down $40 million on his meme coin trades, and he is somebody who has been down a lot. I'm trying to find out what's in his portfolio. But yeah, so we do know he was a big component of SPX 6900 and stuff like that. But yeah, he has multiple wallets. It's just, I don't know, man. It's down. His top was $57 million in February, and right now it's 10 million. Do you think Murad comes back? Do you think his meme coin portfolio ever hits all-time highs ever again?
That's a tough question. I mean, I do think that he bounces back. I don't know how aggressive he bounces back to, right? Like if you look at SPX right now, it's $849 million market cap, right? So it's definitely taken some big hits, but on the year it's up 676%, because obviously that's probably from when it launched a year ago, or maybe a little bit longer than that. But on the month, down 20%, but still, if you look at like some of these other memes like Fartcoin and stuff, Fartcoin's down on the month for sure. It is, and Fartcoin was really strong. That's a weird thing what's happening with Fartcoin to me, because if you look on the month, it's down 26.7%. Market cap is 576, right? And the price is at 57 cents. And while some of these other things have been moving up, it's been like a utility shift almost, right? To where like memes have shifted to utility. You're seeing some of these big news things get like, look really, really flashy and stuff like Aster, and then, XPL. And then you have some of the other stuff that's been around for like a year plus, like Hyperliquid, we throw Merlin in there sometimes and stuff like that, right? That utility chains and stuff like that. So the question is, will the memes get rotated back in like they were, like it happened last October? Right? Because it did happen last October, for sure it did. October, it actually happened with runes too. And so will the memes get the rotation back? And if they do, how aggressive will it be? Because that's where his opportunity is going to be, and I do think that like he will probably have a very disciplined plan to exit out once it gets close to his all-time high. I don't know if he does it right then or previously where it was at 52 million, but he probably already has that planned out. He's like, I'm going to exit, 50% here. And, because losing $40 million is a lot of money.
Oh yeah, especially to someone like he's a Bitcoiner. He's been in Bitcoin since 2011, 2012. So he has plenty of money. I don't think it's probably only about 10% of his portfolio, honestly. But like I'm actually in the camp. I don't think meme coins really come back. And if they do come back, I don't think it's going to be the ones that we know. I think it'll be newer stuff, how it always happens, right? It's always that newer thing who comes out. You'll see Dogecoin do well. You'll see Shiba do well. You'll see the top ones always do well, the Pepes of the world. But I don't think that the stuff in Murad's portfolio here are going to be outperforming anything that's new. And I do think that a lot of money is going to go into actual projects again, in the sense of DeFi and AI and maybe even robotics and stuff like that. When stuff starts coming out, maybe even metaverse again. Maybe we get to a metaverse area of a cycle, NFTs, and maybe I just don't know if meme coins had their bull market already. Is that something to consider? Potentially 23 and 24 was a bull market for meme coins.
I mean, it definitely could be. You have launch pads like PumpFun and Bonk and those type of launch pads that have really oversaturated the space. And like 82% of the tokens that are live today, I think it was like 82% around there, are from Solana because of the meme coin launch pad meta, right? And so the more that people launch those type of coins, the less that it's kind of like the 90s, right? If you look back to the 90s in the trading card industry, there's a lot of cards from the 90s that are worthless because the circulation was just insane. They're printing like billions of cards that were baseball, football, basketball, etc. That were just so many, it's really hard to find cards in the 90s that are worth like a good amount. Like there are some, and I feel like that's kind of what we're going through with meme tokens right now, because PumpFun is the 90s card presser, printer press, or whatever you want to call it, right? And what does that do? And you notice that like Doge, like you mentioned, Doge, Sheep, some of those old school ones, it goes up to Pepe, a couple of others after that, right? Those will retain their value, but that was before this huge meme coin mass creation phase that we've gone through right now. I do think people are losing interest in like the PumpFun stuff. I'm seeing that on my timeline. They're actually kind of saying, hey, like PumpFun might not be the best for the space and all this. This is actually starting to happen, which we're like, oh, we saw this like months ago, and so if that calms down to where they're just not creating so many every single day, then maybe that meme coin meta will pick up strong again. I do think there will be selective ones that do win the cycle. Even some of I am in the camp that I think that dog is going to have a bounce back up. I'm just in that camp, stuff like that. But yeah, it's interesting to see how maybe Fartcoin and SPX and stuff do right, as they and then also the new, if there are new ones, maybe they don't come from Solana. Maybe they come from Spark. Maybe they come from Plasma. Maybe they come from Sui, but maybe not Solana, because Solana is just creating so many each and every day.
Yeah, on top of that too, like the biggest thing of that is a lot of people can't hold. Like, I'm actually seeing on the timeline now that people are just like, oh wow, I didn't realize Solana people can't hold anything. So, but yeah. Let's move along here, though. DeFi veteran Andre Cronje has launched a new project. Flying Tulip is something we talked about on the show a few times here. But he finally got to the raising part. So yesterday, he raised $200 million in a seed run at a valuation of $1 billion. Think about that for a second. Andre Cronje raised $200 million in one day in a seed round at 1 billion token FDV with no lead investor. There's just people that are just throwing money. So I got really kind of deep into what this is. They're basically building an Aster. They're basically building a Hyperliquid, but this isn't for degens. This is for TradFi. And the reason I got to that conclusion is the project plans to raise up to another additional $800 million through a public FT token sale, offering all investors an on-chain redemption right to reclaim their principal. So potentially you can invest whatever, and if they don't use it, they're going to actually give it back to you. And Michael Kong is actually stepping into the chief investment officer role, or generally an investment strategic capital role, and will remain on the board. Sonic Labs, he was the ex-CEO. Sonic Labs has appointed Mitchell Dempter as CEO to drive global growth and deepen institutional partnerships. He will lead efforts to expand the developer ecosystem and strengthen institutional ties. So basically, all three of these people, Michael Kong, Andre Cronje, and this new guy, Michael Denter, they're all planning pretty much to go after TradFi to take this Flying Tulip DEX to potentially be the new way they trade over in TradFi. What do you think about this? And raising this much money, $1 billion, like potentially is the goal. How do you feel about potentially Flying Tulip being a TradFi DEX?
Oh, what type of centralization will there be? Because at the end of the day, TradFi needs, they need safety. They need to feel safe. They need to feel, they need some sort of, almost kind of like a promises, guarantees type of situation, right? And so, how are they going to do that? How are they going to convince them? Look, they've raised 200 million out of 1 billion, and the goal is 800 million left, and that's a huge accomplishment, right? 200 million already. I just don't know how they're going to make them feel comfortable, like they can sleep at night, right? Because right now the ETFs kind of do that for TradFi, right? The ETFs are like, okay, well, we're getting this through our brokerage that we've used for 50 years, you know what I mean? Or, and so they feel okay. So obviously there's a way to do it. I think Michael Kong probably has, is his name Michael Kong?
Michael Kong is the CEO, well, the former CEO of Phantom or of Sonic, and now is the chief investment officer.
He has TradFi experience, doesn't he, or no?
Not from my understanding, no. But this new guy does. This Michael Dempter. He's the new CEO. He has he's a TradFi guy through and through.
Yeah. So I mean, they know what they expect, right? And so for them to raise 200 million, obviously they are saying the right things and getting the right people interested.
Yeah, 100%. And up here, it's like, why is Flying Tulip an upgrade for investors and traders? Flying Tulip introduces a new capital allocation mechanism and tokenomics designed for capital preservation and substantial value creation through a yield-funded buybacks and long-term protocol growth. So that's their main thing here is they're going to be buying back this token hand over fist. So whatever these people get in their allocation for funding this, this company is going to be buying back the token with pretty much all the gains here. And you're seeing Tioga Capital. I've never seen any of these funds. Obviously, Virtuals, we know them and stuff like that. But there's a lot of smaller companies who are investing in this. They're going to have a stable coin with yield built in. It's called FDUSD. This is basically everything the Hyperliquid wants to do, but they have the godfather of DeFi, the guy who created decentralized finance, pretty much. He's one of the few people who really understand it, completely. Andre Cronje actually building this, so this could be very, very successful, especially if it's they're pushing us to TradFi guys.
Yeah. If I was VCs that are Web3, traditional VCs that have invested over here, I would be excited if I was investing in a project that has traditional investors in it, right? Like from Silicon Valley and stuff. And maybe that's what this is. They're trying to go towards the typical trader right? The TradFi trader. Let's see if they can win that over. And also, I mean, if they have success here, that's obviously like huge success, right? You're talking about, you know, a market that deals with trillions in volume consistently. So
Yeah, I'm not seeing any traditional investors yet. So all the 200 million they've raised seems to be all normal crypto investors, Hyperspear, all these seem to be normal crypto investors. So I think that's what bringing on this new CEO is for, to kind of say, hey, look, we've raised 200 million already from this crypto sector. We want to get you guys in too. So I think now starts to push in the TradFi, which could be absolutely huge. I think Flying Tulip could be. We could look back one day and be like, oh wow, that's like the Amazon of crypto. That's like the elite of the elite, because it's not just the perp stacks, right? They want to do everything DeFi. They want to do borrowing and lending. They want to do so much more. Everything that DeFi gives you today, all through this one platform. And Andre had a lot to say in the way DeFi is built today. I mean, he built, Yearn Finance. He helped with Aave. He helped with Curve. Like, he was one of the masterminds of a lot of these protocols like Compound, right? He was one of the leader, and like he was lead investor in a lot of these ones because he was putting his time in instead of money, right? So he helped a lot of these early projects at DeFi really develop their legs. So we'll see what he can do with Flying Tulip.
Yep.
All right. Cronos partners with Amazon Web Services to advance institutional tokenization, RWA growth, and AI-driven DeFi. You're somebody who's actually participated on Cronos. You're somebody who actually understands kind of what they were building back then. How do you feel about Cronos partnering with Amazon Web Services here to advance institutional technology tokenization?
I mean, this actually to me is kind of like a piggyback off of the previous headline. And the reason why I say that is because it's almost like these players that have been in the space for, 4+ years, and Cronos, is obviously the chain that's associated with crypto.com. They are like have been kind of waiting for this moment, right? Clarity's coming in. Now they're going after like big, serious money, right? Before, Cronos was just like any other EVM type style chain, to where you go there, there's Ponzi type of protocols, all these things. They don't care about that as much anymore. What they're looking at is, and honestly, in my opinion, this is a good thing. People might not like that I'm saying that, because decentralization and all that stuff, but they're business people at the end of the day. Like crypto.com has made some substantial great business moves, being able to advertise on Staples Center and not go insolvent afterwards like FTX did. But you know what I mean? And then also get ahead of regulatory, I guess like things that they need to do to be ready for that, right? So to me, I'm not shocked. And we're gonna see more of this. Like the big entities that have been creating revenue for their platforms in the previous 4+ years, we're going to see them kind of reach out to the institutional level in terms of investors, because it makes sense for them. Like, they want to have these large contracts. They want to have this consistent revenue coming in, because this is what we can provide you. We have this many users for crypto.com, or this many users on Cronos right now, and then you guys have, Amazon Web Services. Let's merge and let's try to onboard as many people as possible. So to me, this is kind of those higher level headlines that retail investors might not be able to benefit right off the bat from, but it's good sign, because it's basically saying that this infrastructure is really starting to come together from the Web3 digital space to TradFi and a lot of parts of these big recognized names from Web2, and now the mainstream adoption for infrastructure is getting set in place.
Yeah, 100%. And it kind of leads us right into Visa launched a pilot with Circle's USDC and EURC to make cross-border payments faster and more flexible, right? Right on top of Chainlink, UBS, and Swift pilot tokenized fund workflows aiming to modernize the $100 trillion fund. So obviously this was yesterday's news, and now Visa came out today, and they're saying that, hey, we're going to pilot this on our own blockchain, right? With using Visa. This is the most bullish time to be alive in crypto, right? It really is. I mean, there's so much change that is happening, and it's all going to be done on crypto rails. Like, I feel like the entire monetary system now is coming on chain for the first time that it's ever seen any type of change is done in the last 50 to 60 years.
Yeah, but people don't get excited about it because they can't, benefit directly off of it right now. That's why I think people are not excited that the people that were excited last cycle, the retail that was on crypto Twitter, that for them, they read this and they're like, okay, well, how can I make money on this right now? You know what I mean? And that's a short-term mindset, but it's also, I don't blame them too much because that's how we've been conditioned for the past, like 10 years in this space. Yes, there's certain projects that you can, if you held, for sure. But whenever it comes to bull market time, they're looking for, what's something I can make, 100x of right away. Like, I don't care about this, but this is important for infrastructure for the future, right? Because it will create more sustainability for our space, and then you can be smarter longer term with some investments.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about like the gamblers, right? There's gamblers and everything.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the actual investors. So think about the internet, for instance, right? Like, it's basically the same thing. When the internet changed from, the normal, I guess, Web 1 world into the Web 2 world, it's basically the same thing. You have to get in the companies that were making the biggest changes, and they were obviously Amazon and Google and Yahoo and stuff like that. And I think we're about to see that next gen. And I'm not talking about the gamblers of crypto. I want to get into the more investors of crypto. I think these people are going to make the most money going forward, and that can be normal people finding the next Amazons, the next Googles, but in that Web3 world. And Circle could be that. Circle could be a company that does some incredible stuff here, that you put in potentially $2,000 today, and it's worth $250,000 in 20, 30 years, right? So it's one of those things where there's a lot of investment here where in the next 20 years you can be seriously rich. And I'm not like, I'm just kind of done with the gambling aspect of it. I want to get into investing in real projects.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm just telling you why it's like that, and why people have that mindset. It's something that I think you can look at the space in itself, of course, to take that blame, but also you got to put a lot of this blame on the SEC for not having clarity a long time ago, right? And so that's the difference, right? But I do think like the audiences that are going to be more interested in our space, they're changing already. You know what I mean? They're becoming more serious people that are going to be in this space, which is, in my opinion, really good for long term. And you're starting to have kind of that silly, like, everything's a joke type situation. I think that groups get smaller and smaller over time. And like, it's going to be because of stuff like this. And the previous, two headlines is because people that are going to be parking, large amounts of capital are going to feel comfortable with it, but they also are, maybe seasoned in TradFi, or they're used to making large, sizable investments that are with companies that have stability. And so what this does is it brings stability to our space, because now you start questioning a project that you maybe haven't heard of, but just inked a deal with a big branded Web 2 company.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's so funny because I listen to TradFi stuff in the morning, and it's like they get excited off like a headline that's very similar to we hear every single day, but we don't get excited over, right? They get excited over the littlest things, like, oh wow, this company partnered with this company. And in our space, it's like, oh wow, another bullshit partnership, right? I think that's kind of how it is. Whenever we see some chain or some coin come out and say, hey, we partnered with these people, it's normally we don't even get excited about that. I want that to be our space, though. I want our space to mature to a point where there is still a lot of rapid growth happening, but at the same time, it's actually smarter people and the people who are really, really into crypto and want crypto to succeed, and not the people who just want fun game gambling, right? So I think we're changing. I think we're definitely changing for the better. But let's jump into the crypto fear and greed here. So last week we were at a 40. Yesterday we were at 39. We're higher than last week's 40, which is really surprising to me. Maybe I shouldn't be surprised. I don't know, but we're definitely in the low side of the 40s. Where do you think we're at?
42.
Pretty much right there, 43. So yesterday was bullish, right? And actually really bullish. especially going into the 8 o'clock close. Where do you think we're going to be tomorrow? Do you think we're back in the 30s?
No, I think we probably go through a little bit of a choppy period right now for Bitcoin. So Bitcoin itself, I think the second half of today could be like a rise back up. In that case, we probably see something low 40 still. Maybe stay the same or a little bit lower.
Yep. All right. Let's kind of get into the Bitcoin price action and crypto bubbles, brought to you guys by the great people over at Artura.finance. We're going to have to be doing a show with those guys in about 2 hours from right now. So you're definitely going to want to be a part of that. We have the great Marion, who's somebody who I highly recommend you listen to because he's a great trader if you're into that. Perps trading seems to be one of the biggest things right now. Let's just take a look at what they're building over on Artura. So this is the site here. You're going to come up here and go to compete. And then you can kind of join this crazy madness of thing. All you gotta do is get in first place. You have to just get your P&L over $456. Shouldn't be that hard if you're a good trader, and potentially you can win $5,000. Think about that for a second. Just getting a P&L of 500 could win you $5,000. What is it? One more day, right?
Yeah, no, 2 more days. I think it's the
2 more
second, but
days.
we'll get
Okay.
confirmation from them today. So make sure you guys join the Trader's Edge at 2 p.m. Eastern. We'll ask them all those good questions about the competition wrapping up.
Yeah, 100%. And if you do want to get a bigger portion of the airdrop, this is how you do it. You want to go into the vault here, referrals as well. And then just come over here and just make some trades. I think just one trade will potentially get you in the airdrop, honestly, if they do one. It's just something that I've been participating in, so you definitely want to participate as well. And we're going to be doing live trades as well, so definitely check out our show later and check out Artura.finance.
Absolutely. And before we get into the price action, guys, help us out like you guys do every day because y'all are awesome. On the YouTube side, smash that like, subscribe to the channel, and turn your notifications on. And then on X, a lot of people in Singapore still. We ask that you guys share the space for us to get as many people in here as possible so we can onboard as many people to the digital asset space. Same thing with Abstract as well, Twitch, Kick, and Rumble. But let's get into some price action. It looks like the volume for Bitcoin is kind of, I guess it's picking up a little bit here. We'll take a look here, but you can see we did have a bit of a drawdown starting right at that kind of time that the crypto fear and greed is taken. So there is a Bitcoin fear and greed and a crypto fear and greed, but Bitcoin can affect the crypto one in general, I think. But anyways, you can see here this nice rise up that we saw yesterday, and we asked ourselves, would this be a fake out? And I won't go as far to say it is officially a fake out yet for Bitcoin, but we definitely have pulled back, right? So we see that kind of drawdown, but then now we pull back up, and I'm wondering if we're going to kind of go sideways here, right? So you can see here on the MACD, it looked like we were going to close back up and then continue this trend up here, but it did start to reverse direction. So that fast line on the MACD looks like it wants to head back down. Also, the stochastics, it looks like it's turning around as well. So let's see here for the next couple hours if we in fact do turn back around and head back down. If so, we get an aggressive sell down, then I'll say, okay, maybe it was a fake out. But until then, I'm gonna wait and see the data there. Let's see what happened since 5 a.m. We squeeze in here. Go out a little bit here. I like to kind of get that 5 a.m. Data to go off of to see how support and resistance is going. You can see right here. Looks like we are at the 113, 150 levels. Resistance definitely kicking butt here. Volume lower in these areas, but the highest point of volume is at the 113, 115. And it does look like resistance is having the advantage. Okay, so maybe give it a couple hours to see if we do break back down. That could be very possible because the indicators are showing us that that's kind of where it wants to head, at least. And if we're seeing the resistance kind of dominate right now, it's not dominating too heavily. The area that we are in right now at the 113, 150 it is, but then below that, it's a little bit more balanced out. And then you can see domination kind of takes over again for resistance. So be careful if you're trading Bitcoin today, because it looks like it might want to head back below 113. Let's take a look at the 4-hour, and this is never financial advice. This is just a very high level, basic kind of indicators to give us an idea where Bitcoin could be heading today. And you see on the 4-hour too, it looks like it wants to close up, right? But I have seen several times where this looks like it wants to close up and open back up. So let's wait about I would say about 4 hours, 4 to 8 hours to see if that is the case. If the momentum continues to the downside here on the MACD and then stochastics as well. The setup actually kind of looks good for a pullback, but we did just kind of pull back up to kind of rebalance this area, because as you can see. So I mean, I would be shocked if we pulled all the way back down here, right? Maybe we pull down to this level, or maybe we just have kind of some choppiness for a while before Bitcoin shows some really good strength there. So that's the 4-hour for Bitcoin. And then if we pull up to the daily looks like it wanted to get out of the sell pressure until today. So we are seeing a really strong red candle here. We'll see how the rest of today finishes. If we do have a bounce back here, this could close up, or it could open back up, and then we start some more sell session, which would not be great. But remember, we do have today's the last day of September, so maybe it just wants one last bloody day. And again, like I said, just because I feel like October is going to be, this bullish month, doesn't mean like the first couple days of the first week of October is automatically bullish. We could have kind of like this first week of a lull or choppiness to the downside, and then pick things back up next week. So that's Bitcoin for you. Ethereum, very, very similar situation right now. It's just tailing Bitcoin, right? So that's the idea as well from Benjamin Cohen, that like if Bitcoin's dominance picks back up, Bitcoin picks back up, that it's going to go about 2-3 weeks kind of without Ethereum's aggressive push back up, and then Ethereum could pick back up on week 3 of October, scenario like that. So for the shorter time frames, it's just going to be a little bit slower than what Bitcoin is seeing. So right now it looks like it wants to go further down. We are still above 4,100. It got to 4,250. Right. So this is definitely a strong pullback that we're seeing so far. Probably see more of that, honestly, is what it feels like, especially if Bitcoin does go down below 113. Like I think it's a high possibility of that happening. The 4-hour looks like it's losing momentum as well, very similar to Bitcoin on the 4-hour, and then the daily, similar to Bitcoin as well. So kind of, looks like it wants to reverse on the daily, open back up here, at least for Ethereum. Bitcoin looks like it's a little bit more closed up, but starting to turn around for Bitcoin to the downside as well. So that's Bitcoin and Ethereum for you guys. Just yesterday we did have that positive price action, but it seems like it's reversing a bit today. I don't necessarily think it's going to be hyper aggressive to the downside, but probably some more downside is what we'll see. Crypto bubbles not looking great here. As you can see, the top 200. Let me go to the top 100 here. You're seeing a lot of red. XPL definitely continuing to pull back. Aster as well. So those people that got into these two coins the last week and a half, you had your opportunity to kind of exit with those, and there was a lot of people that have decent sized accounts that I'll give credit to that was saying, hey, these are going to pull back. Nothing goes up forever only. So hopefully you guys took your profit on those two, but majority of everything is about 7 to 5% to the pullback. You see Pump pulling back 5.5%, Aerodrome pulling back 6.4%, Pengu pulling back 5.3%, IMX pulling back 11% there, going to the top 200 here. You see Merlin pulling back about 10%. And then this Falcon Finance pulled back 54%. I think they had a big event the past couple days. Jeff was talking about that.
Airdrop, yeah.
Okay, and Jeff was talking about
we're farming there. Jeff was farming there as well.
Okay.
The airdrop.
Gotcha. For the Bitcoin staking program, I guess they were able to benefit from that. But see, that's how it works. When you have a team that's focused on it, they exit those before the hard dump there. But yeah, so that's what it's looking like for today, guys. I would just say pay attention to probably the second half of today, because there could be some bounce back, or we'll see maybe just kind of a bloody into September, because today is the last day. But that is Bitcoin and Ethereum price action for you guys, plus the alts from Crypto Bubbles.
Yeah, man, I can't wait for September 30th to be over. Let's kind of get into October. Let's kind of change it up. But let's try to jump into our next thing here. We every single day we take the first comment of the day and we put it on a spreadsheet. I did not Who you remember who won yesterday?
I
I can go back and
don't.
look. I think it was ASAP Benji, but I could be wrong. But I'll go watch it back later today and make sure. But congratulations today to the great Lackey Lukey. He's back, baby. First time in a while. Appreciate you, my friend. Forgot how to spell your name there, but I'm sorry. It's just been so long. Lackey Lukey has your, what do you have? You have your 45th, 46th. You have your 47th win of the year. Congratulations to you, my friend. You are holding that lead. Webdro, where's Webdro on my list? Webdro is at 45. So you have a two episode lead on the guy himself, Webdro. So shout out to all you guys. I'm gonna show this so you can see Lucky Lukey 47. I'm gonna get whoever won yesterday. I'll lock you in. I wasn't home yesterday, so I didn't have the sheet with me. But yeah, so shout out to every single one of you guys. But let's jump into the actual comments. And first comment, obviously, is the man Lackey Lukey. And then we got Jay Crypto says the reason we don't get excited about is because in crypto, they rarely have real revenue tied to them. That's changing, right? I mean, you're seeing that right now with a lot of these perp dexes and stuff. People are getting into these perp decks for one reason, and that's because they actually are buying back the token. So the buyback flywheel effect is something that a lot of teams are trying to get involved with, and that, you know, you have real revenue, and then you actually can buy your token back. But the problem is there's no users. There's no users for a lot of this. The only stuff that people are using are the real heavy gambling stuff, right? The leverage trading, the pump funds, anything that's actually, you know, out there that has real use case was just not being used right now. Well, why do you think that is? Why do you think people aren't really using any dApps that aren't complete gambling?
Well, I think the ones that are being used with the gambling is, you know, because they feel like they can, you know, have that huge increase. But I do think there's projects that are they're popping up that are focusing on revenue now. So I think Jay Crypto has a good point here. The reason why we don't get excited is because, you know, they rarely have revenue tied to them. And so utility, you know, has always been about painting this beautiful picture in our space, right? That goes back to kind of like, you know, a bad part of sales strategy, but it gets a lot of people sucked in, right? You kind of paint this like amazing picture for someone that you're trying to sell something to, but it's not true. And so now I think with TradFi coming into the picture, it's gonna be like how TradFi is, honestly, like where you got to show numbers, you're gonna have to show revenue, and we have like projects similar to, you know, similar to like Hustle, right? Hustle is building a business model, right? Merlin has a business model. You know, these other, you know, you could say PumpFun, they do have a business model, even though I don't love it because it is like causes a lot of people to lose money, but they still create revenue. But then you have Polymarket and stuff like that, you know, that create revenue. Those are the ones that are going to be huge in the future that continue that. The ones that don't, I think they just fade off.
Yeah, 100%. You know, it's going to be you're either going to have to make money or you're going to, you know, claim bankruptcy, right? I think that's the end of it. But you know, you can still have companies though that invest in themselves. You got to remember, and back in like 2001, Amazon was one of the leaders in investment, and they were able to just constantly just invest in themselves. And look at today. I mean, they don't not stop making money. They make money every second of the day, right? So it's one of those things where, you know, just because a company isn't showing revenue at first or it isn't showing profit at first doesn't mean they're not going to be successful in the long run either. So those are the type of companies to kind of look at too, right? The companies that are just constantly investing in themselves.
So yeah, but I think so I think what you're referring to is like Google in the early days and Facebook in the early days, but that they were able to prove users instead of revenue at that time. And so, you know, the Silicon investors were willing to invest continuously because they saw actual live users. And I think if, like, for example, I think MetaMask has like really strong leverage because they have 30 million plus wallets, right? If they can prove how many users are using on a daily basis, now that turns into kind of like that situation to where they get serious investors saying, okay, now you got to figure out how you can make money from these users at the end of the day, right? And so they'll do that, right? But so those are different, in my opinion, than like a Web3 company from 2022 that was saying, okay, we're going to create this platform for metaverse, and everybody's going to come and play here, and this is an awesome idea because we're going to have a store that you can buy and sell things on, and you can do these things. You can, but what are you generating? Like, what have you created in terms of revenue, right? Those type of, like, it's a great idea things, that was huge for our space because it was innovative in the beginning. But now that there's clear regulatory guidelines and all this stuff, TradFi people, they don't want to, they won't pay 2 seconds attention, maybe 2 seconds, and then ask them, how much money have you made, or like, what's your plan? And then they'll dismiss them, because for them, you got to show either tons of users that are actively using your platform, or revenue that you're creating, and preferably both.
Yeah, and to your point with MetaMask or whatever, if they have the token, right now, users can go and stake their token and then get voted into governance and say, hey, I want to open up ad revenue. And then the ad revenue go back to stakers. I mean, you might see stuff like that one day, to where, let's just say Aave wants to, potentially be that, the highest, the one who wins the bid to basically be the leading advertiser for MetaMask. And then the people who are staking the MetaMask token potentially can profit. I mean, that could be the new way of profiting in the future for these decentralized assets, right? Just staking your token and then getting other tokens that are actually paying for the services of that wallet. Because imagine, like, why not, right? Why not, when you go to MetaMask, be like an advertisement at the top for something, and then potentially making money that way? Consensus didn't want it, but if they decentralize it, it'll be up to the stakers to kind of ask for that.
I think that if they did do something like that, it would have to be integrated very, like, smooth. Something like Facebook did pretty good job when they integrated advertising into it. They didn't want to for the longest time, or they were trying to figure out how to do it. Google does a good job, but it's after the search page, right? So as long as you can make it to where it doesn't have like a huge picture on it, and it looks like, tacky, and it looks smooth, and I don't think they're going to get a lot of complaints from the user base. But again, also, if it's benefiting the holders of the MetaMask token at the end of the day, that's where I think there could be this really huge dynamic that changes, that separates, the new way of trading these assets versus TradFi's way, is instead of doing dividends or anything like that, you make it simpler. You make it very straightforward. Like, if you hold the token, if you stake it in this, then you'll get a percentage of this, so you earn that way. But it's going to be exciting, because we're going to see more and more of that stuff. I just saw Polkadot talking about PUSD, like, they're introducing a native PUSD Horizon protocol. So it's like these big names are doing big moves in our space. It might not excite people right away, but they're doing that to create revenue, because they know the people that are coming over want to see that.
Yeah, man, great comment, Jay. And we have Tim Baker's here. Shout out to Tim Baker. Bitcoin is Truth is here. Abstract, my guy. K99 is here. Spindrift, and then Vader time here every single day. Appreciate you, Vader. Chips and Dip is here. Shout out to you, my friend. Mur is here. Shout out to Mur. Webdro, man, you gotta get back on it, bro. I want to see the competition get stiff here. We only got 90 days left in the year. Potentially we're going to see a winner with 65-70 wins. We'll see. Lucky Lucky again. ASAP Benji is here. Merlin's Lucky is here. Hydro Sapien, my guy. Mice Elf. So the only losers are the non-believers, Jeets, that sell low and buy high. I agree, man. I agree. Patty Poo is here. Shout out to Patty Poo. Stan says people are locked in to quarter four. No fourth dips. Apocalypse. I mean, okay. Stan says, does TradFi prefer a bearish fourth
quarter? I don't think so.
No, I don't think anyone prefers anything bearish, in my opinion. I know there's the shorts of the world who prefer to be bearish all the time, but I don't know. And Stan says that if Arch can wake up, that should spark. Yeah, I'm done. I'm so done with these projects who just can't launch, right? I have no interest in even thinking about them anymore. With Spark and with Arch, we do have something with Spark today that's kind of bullish, but at the same time, it's like, just open the shit the F up, dude. I'm so tired of hearing about this. Like, I think the days of marketing before launch is, I think they're coming to an end. I think you have to launch first and market later. I'm just seeing so many projects die before like they even come alive. Like it's kind of sad, honestly. Chief Axel is here. Shut Chief Axel. Mogar says that's what I meant the other day. Find the Mag 7 of the space in DCA. We may need to get rich overnight, but we will be able to live a good life and retire and with dignity. He also said, I think the Merlin guys may be one of the new Mag 7. Sadly, my bag of Merlin is pathetic. I gotta work on that. I think it's still really cheap, honestly. But what do you think about who would you consider the Mag 7 of crypto?
Oh man, I'm not sure. I don't know, but Mag 7. So is that the pretty much like the top 7, the strength?
They call Mag 7 the top 7 companies in TradFi, which are and you already know them: Google, Amazon, Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft, so on and so on.
That's going to be interesting because right now I think they're forming still, right? And then I think people look at some of the old like OG DeFi projects on Ethereum and would throw Aave maybe in there or something, So it's really going to be dependent upon how the next couple years goes for a lot of these projects, because I think they will get established. You know what I mean? And also, will they be chains that will look more like that? Will they be like protocols? So,
well, chains don't make money, right? There's no revenue with the chains. There's no chain that makes revenue. So it would have to be the dApps, right? You're gonna have to call the dApps the next leaders in the space, the biggest dApps.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised though, like if they're centralized, blockchains and stuff like that form like companies and they become big in the future and stuff like that. But like, yeah, so our space is just trying to right now, because of the addition to TradFi and Clarity and stuff, we're actually just now forming what is looked at as like successful and successful speculation as well for the future. We know what we've seen in the past, and we can speculate on what we think, but they have a lot of money that they're bringing over here, and so they're going to be able to kind of dictate what they think is going to have value. And the one sector of that whole area that's moving over here that I just don't want to have complete control is the banks. I don't want them, like the brokerages, the TradFi guys. Give them a little bit of what they want, but not the banks, because the banks want to control everything in terms of yield. They want to, basically, continually have Congress, complete control over them. And so if we can make sure that they're trying to sneak verbiage into the Clarity bill, saying that they get to control stablecoin yield, and I'm just like, but.
I mean, it's like good try, because there's going to be opportunities in DeFi that they don't even know about. Like you can't stop stablecoin yield when you're putting it in an LP pool up against another stablecoin, right? There's no if people trade it, there's profit. So I think it's pointless for them to even try that, honestly. Stan says, please share another Mag 7 member. You mean TradFi, or I'm not sure.
Well, that probably answered for him.
Okay. And then Mogar says, what do you guys think about DPen? They have revenue. So yeah, the DPen stuff does have revenue. These are the biggest DPen. Obviously, BitTensor is a blockchain that use AI.
It's probably the biggest one.
Stuff. Yeah, easily. And then you have 297. Oh my god.
All the Filecoin too.
Yeah, Filecoin, they have revenue, and then BitTorrent, Jasmine Coin, Helium, which is this could be one of the biggest internet providers.
Because it's like service providers though.
Yeah.
So like this category I think is being overlooked because again our space is immature. Look, I mean I'm not calling other people that. I'm a part of that, and I experienced the last cycle and stuff like that, but we are becoming more mature and realizing that it's like sectors like this that are going to have huge contracts. You know what I mean? They're going to have huge contracts with huge brands, possibly government contracts, depending on what they offer in terms of services. I mean, like Tau, dude, like, that's huge. Like they have all these subnets that are, providing AI compute for these projects and stuff. So I think that's a good one, Mogar. But I think people are going to learn more and more about it and the opportunities with time, as time goes by. But I think your head's in the right spot for sure.
100%. Couldn't agree more. All right, that wraps up the roll call for today. Appreciate every single one of you guys who makes roll call each and every day. Got a few more topics to get into. Let's see what we have here. Okay, so Tether bought 8.8 thousand Bitcoin yesterday, worth $1 billion. So Tether just, people don't talk about this as much. Tether's been buying just as much as Michael Saylor has been, right? I'm trying to find the amount of that they actually hold, but I'm actually having trouble. I don't know if they actually put it out and say how much they actually hold, but I know they have a Tether a wallet.
Yeah, but exactly, because that's how they were able to track that.
Yeah. Well, they track that wallet or whatever. So okay, Tether holds 100,000 Bitcoin, so they would hold about a lot less than Saylor does, after all. So Saylor has about 600,000. They have 100,000, but they buy, a lot of Bitcoin here. So Tether probably going to be one of the leading Bitcoin holders soon. But again, where's that money coming from, right? Is that profit, or is that backing their stablecoin? Because they don't have no rules right now. They can pretty much do whatever they want because they're not doing audits and stuff like that. So, but moving along though, BlackRock's IBIT flips Deribit as top Bitcoin options revenue with nearly 38 billion in open interest compared to Deribit's 32 billion. And I have actually a pretty cool chart here of that. So you actually can kind of see that IBIT really started in January, right? But so this is the options platform. iShares is black and Deribit is yellow. Deribit had the market for the longest time, and just for the first time ever, BlackRock has pushed Deribit for options. This is probably going to be inclined, right? You're probably going to see this skyrocket when it comes to iShares and options.
Yeah, I mean, the firepower that BlackRock has to be able to just increase the volume is going to be much larger than Deribit, in my opinion. But I don't know what I know that Deribit was acquired by Coinbase, right? So I guess they have some strength, but I just feel like BlackRock, if they want this market, they can take it.
Yeah.
You know
It's
what I mean?
funny though, the option stuff, the open interest options, it just drops off and then builds back up, drops off, builds back up, drops off, builds back up. While you're seeing these guys, these TradFi guys, they're just consistent. They're just very consistent. While the crypto guys are just so on and off and on and off. It's pretty crazy with the options.
Yeah. Like I said, once either Robinhood or a platform has an easy to use options product, I think that increases much more from mainstream. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that want to get into options, but they don't want to use Deribit. So maybe BlackRock can create a solid product for the everyday trader as well.
Yeah, 100%. All right, the next thing here is actually from Nick O'Neill, Get Rich Nick. All right, so take this. I don't know if this is truth or not, but I kind of want to get your perspective. I don't know if you've seen this or not. Did you see Nick's latest video?
About PumpFun?
Yeah.
I saw it, yeah.
All right, I'm going to play it real quick just for anyone who hasn't. You should be able to hear it. No, you can't. 1 second. All right, here we go.
Breaking news coming out of Singapore today. PumpFun reportedly is laying off 1/3 of their staff. That's right, 24 people, according to people that I've spoken to. Why? Well, there's a number of factors playing in here, but one of the most significant is that they didn't want their employees' tokens to vest. Is that because they're underperformers? That's not quite clear. Also, according to the sources that I spoke to, this may be partially motivated by an imminent second airdrop, or the official airdrop of the Pump token. Pump has seen a lot of bearish price action. It then rebounded substantially. Is this bullish or bearish news? Well, generally speaking, when we see companies lay people off, we see their stock price go up because costs are down, profit is up. In the case of PumpFun, they're a startup. I don't know specifically which employees are being laid off, whether or not these are engineers, whether it's a marketing department. I don't feel like PumpFun has much of a marketing department, if I'm being perfectly honest. But that's what's going on right now. I'll be back with more breaking news from Singapore, but absolutely massive. PumpFun laying off 1/3 of their staff, which is frankly kind of shocking, given the fact that they're one of the most successful businesses in the crypto market. I'll be back with more later.
What do you think about that? What do you think about potentially PumpFun? One, that rumor airdrop is this week, the first week of October, and two, potentially laying off 1/3 of their workforce so their tokens don't vest. Obviously, this is coming from Nick. This is why I didn't want to describe it at all, just in case it's not true. You heard it from the man himself. But what do you think about if this is true? Because he is probably talking to people who used to work at Pump, right? He probably, these are probably just like people that are pissed off and it's like, hey, Nick, let me tell you about this.
I mean, if that's the case, that's dirty as hell, and kind of not surprised from who's at the head of it. I'm tired of Pump. I am. They tried right now. They're trying as hard as they can to force a streaming narrative. That isn't working, in my opinion. You have Rasmer, which is like the top guy over there, and Gainsey. They don't even $1 and $4 million market caps, and that's like tough to sustain that. And I just feel like they've really been a sore spot on the space. I mean, people can say what they want, if they're like, oh, they brought all this volume to crypto. Yeah, but it went out the door into the pockets of most of it. Like a lot of fee revenue went into, Elon's pockets are they buying back the token now? Yes. After they got a lot of pushback and other projects were doing it. I'm ready for that whole. I'm okay with meme coins. I want to clear this up. I'm okay with meme coins. I'm okay if you form a community and you try to do that. You at least attempt to do it right and all those things. But where I have a problem is it really kind of destroying a lot of the liquidity in the space. And it is what it is. I do think that part of the space gets kind of pushed into a corner. I've said that for a while. It will still exist. It will always exist. People like to gamble. That won't go away. But I do think that it becomes less and less relevant over time.
Yeah, 100%. But you do have some prominent people in the space, actually, not even our space in TradFi, talking about PumpFun. So this is the next thing here. Cathie Wood reposts an ARK Invest article that claims Pump's streaming service could restructure the creator economy. What do you think about this? So this is an article from ARK Invest about PumpFun, and then it was reposted by the great Cathie Wood. And Ethan Alon commented on this post for the DGen News and said, wow. But you have Cathie Wood now and ARK Invest potentially saying, hey, the way PumpFun is, they could restructure how streaming is done. What do you think about that?
I disagree with it. PumpFun is way too money focused first. And we've seen that. We've talked about this, streamers are successful because their audience connects with them. They are the product of like what they bring, whether that's educational, entertainment. That is the main product, not making money from your streamer by buying a token into that streamer. It doesn't work backwards. The streamer can make money after, it's actually long-term hard work that makes a streamer successful, or being consistent for a long time. But the way that PumpFun is, there's nothing long-term about it. There's absolutely nothing long-term about it. It's all about short-term gains, about, can I make a ton of money right now? Can I make, 100x by this week? Can I make, what I mean? And those two fundamental things don't go together. Like for streamers to have successful and for you to build up like an audience, that is dedicated to what you bring to the table, whether the product is education, like I said, or entertainment, that is not something that's formed quickly. And I think Cathie Wood has had several horrible takes in her past. She's had some wins with like some portfolio calls and stuff, yes, but like she's also had a ton of losses. But this is, I think, a L big time for her in terms of that. People are streaming still, like, what I mean, and they're not Like there was one called Runner. This guy was overweight. He was running. It went well. He did like 6 million, but like he has to run every day now. You know what I mean? Like, but he doesn't. Like, you know what I mean? And then also like so that's crashed hard. Like, you know, again, we're getting away from the space. Myself said it best: long-term holding often outperforms short-term trading. This year has been a short-term trading year. That's what it's been, and that's why a lot of people are kind of not feeling great about it, because whether it's everything too, everything that has had substantial volumes in our space this year has been all about short-term trading. Look at the AI sector at the end of last year that creeped over to just January, beginning of this year. That lasted about a month and a half, dead after that for a while. Then we had you know, the what meme coins that started popping off in February and March with fart coin and stuff like that, lasted about 2 months, then died off. Then it would come back sporadically and then die off. But you would have to get in and get out. You have to get in and get out, right? Leverage became huge. Leverage really, honestly, in terms of volumes, have been really high since late last year in general from Hyperliquid and some of these other platforms. But leverage, very short-term minded, very short-term trading, right? Nothing has been about long-term holding unless you got really, you were amazing and you were able to research way ahead of time for getting into Hyperliquid before airdrop, holding it all the way until now, then you're up a lot. Or there might be a handful of little projects like that, right? But in general, it's been all about short-term trading, and that's not what the winners of previous cycles really, you know, had in terms of large. Yes, there was moments in 2021, I get it, but it was like before that, you still, you know, could have held some tokens from 2018, 2019, Doge, for example, that exploded in 2020. There were several like that. That has gone away because short-term trading has been completely all about the focus. And I think that it does flip back, but before that happens, infrastructure needs to be set in place, which is happening right now, and revenue-based type projects need to be invested into, or huge amounts of user base. Those are the two things, and the fundamentals come back, I think, from TradFi to our space, but you'll still have different opportunities, and there's going to be decentralized ways of using digital assets. So I know myself, you don't like the whole kind of TradFi and centralization and all that stuff. There'll be still ways to be decentralized with Bitcoin and stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more. Really looking forward to those days, honestly. So we'll see. And the final thing is Luminex. So if you are a member of ours, we've been talking about this for a little while in our member chats. And so let's just jump into. So obviously, if you go to luminex.io/spark, you guys can see something that looks like this. Now, for the first time, officially, the swap is up, and I actually swapped today. I came over here and I actually signed up here. So real quick too, like when you come in here, you do have to deposit. How do you feel about that? Like I had to deposit this into this wallet this morning. Just it didn't feel great doing it. I hate depositing. That seems to be a new feature, everything. So you have to come in here when you create a wallet, you create a wallet with them. They do give you the seed word, so you can potentially use those seed phrase to another wallet and have the same assets in that wallet too. So that's not too big of a deal in this case. But I did try swapping for Flash Sparks, which is the #1 meme coin over here, and it wasn't working. Let's see if they got it working now. It still isn't working over here. So input required. Okay, let me back that up a little bit. Okay, try it now. Let's see if it works. It says trades are not enabled for this pool, so I can't do trades yet in that pool, even if there is a lot of liquidity. Like if you go into Flash Sparks here, you can kind of see that it does have a ton of liquidity here. It has like $91,000 in liquidity. You are seeing Bitcoin USD have 33,000 and Bitcoin have 195,000. You're seeing UTXO has 70,000. So you are seeing some of this. I wonder if I can buy UTXO. Let's try this. No, same thing. Trades are not enabled for this pool. So they do still have to enable the trades, but it is cool kind of seeing the swap up and swap looks like, and then rewards. I actually signed up today, Shizzy OnChain. I'm going to put my referral thing in here if you guys are interested in signing up for, I highly recommend at least getting some. Like I just put $100 in here in my wallet here, just to kind of mess around here, because if they do some of an airdrop later to early users, I definitely want to be a part of that, especially if it's like the top meme coin or something like that. So I highly recommend everyone kind of get over on Luminex, create an account, add money to there, and do a swap for BUSD, because there might be an airdrop waiting for you. It might not be like the Luminex token, but they might actually do like the first token of the exchange or something like that. There's usually give it back, because it does give away. It does say claim rewards. There will be rewards here that are claimable. So you definitely want to be part of this if you can. But what do you think, man? I kind of ran through this morning and now, but what do you think about Luminex so far?
Yeah, I'm excited for Spark to launch, because I think it'll be fun to try to get into some of these early tokens, right? And yeah, when is that going to happen? That's the question. That is the big question. So,
well, I mean, it's already kind of happening, right? Because right now I can swap. I can do a swap right now for BUSD, right, or USDB. So it is working, right? They're just not enabled. Do you think this gets enabled later today? Do you think it's this week?
I hope so. I mean, there's been a lot of hinting at, it's going to be launching on the Magic Eden side as well, right? So I mean, so I think the launch pads, right? Those are going to be where some of the fun happens, right? And I know people might be like, well, you were just talking about PumpFun. Yeah, it's, in my opinion, it's different when it first starts. Also,
yeah,
a lot of these, like I don't mind Moonshot. Moonshot isn't as bad as PumpFun to me. You know what I mean? Like on abstract and stuff like that. It's just, I just feel like the culture of that. But getting off that and getting back to here, I think that there's going to be opportunities in the beginning of this, right? And there's a lot of stuff, a lot of hype building up to this. So we'll see if it launches this next week or so. There's a Luminex launchpad, there's the Magic Eden launchpad. I think a lot of people are waiting for the Magic Eden one as well, because they're just a big brand too. So you have to imagine that they're going to be doing some crazy stuff over there.
Who do you think is going to be first to market? Do you think it's going to be UTXO.fun with businessman.eth? Do you think it's Luminex or Magic Eden, or do you think maybe they all launch at one time?
I mean, I don't know if they can coordinate that, but they're all waiting on something for some reason, right?
Yeah, they're all, yeah. I think it's an audit that has to come back or something like that. But I mean, the fact that you can swap right now for BUSD is that got to be a little bit more bullish to you, right? For the first look, I can do a swap right now, 0.0002 for BUSD. I'm selling 002 BTC for USB, and then boom, it's done. It's done. So my wallet, I should see the change. Yep, done. Super quick, super fast. I can actually go back and forth there. Honestly, let's do $36 worth of Bitcoin, swap it again, and it's done. That's super quick. Oh, maybe it's not done. No, it's
well,
done.
yeah, it shows that you have $77.
There it is.
Oh, there it is.
There
okay.
So the wallet's just a little slower on the slow side, but yeah. What do you think? What do you think about potentially? I mean, it's up and running, right? Technically.
I mean, swapping for the stable is, but why would they not make it possible for the other ones? That's the question. Something weird, right? Unless these all work as like channels, like all the pools.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you think so? Where's the opportunity right now? Do you think going over to something like SatSpark and buying the tokens before ever, because that's the thing, right? If I go over to SatSpark, I'm able to potentially buy these tokens before everyone else. Or do you think that these tokens might not even be the ones that you want to get into? You want to get into the ones that actually launch on Luminex and stuff like that?
No, I think there's opportunities on SatSpark right now, but you're still speculating some, right? Because if the volume increases in the overall ecosystem in general, then the ones on SatSpark you'll do well, in my opinion, right? So if there's a lot of volume to the Spark ecosystem, then those are going to thrive. But then you'll have your other ones from the
oh wow, it looks like SatSpark is now going to be doing a launch pad as well.
Wow.
Interesting. Dashboard. This looks different now than it did before, so I don't see the options anymore.
Yeah, so this is what I'm getting kind of excited for once this launches, because I think this will be like the next kind of plasma style play. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, man. So that is Luminex, that is Spark so far. So we'll see, kind of keep an eye on that, kind of see where we are. But we do actually see a lot of opportunity in the first couple coins there. It is completely gambling, so keep that in mind. But at the same time, with something new like what we've seen over last week with XPL, if you were able to get in on day 1, you made really, really good money on day 3. But day 4 and 5, it dumped, right? So maybe potentially the same thing over here as well. So just keep that in mind. But that's our show today. We got 303 people watching right now. Appreciate every single one of you guys. That is on YouTube, X, and Twitch. Not to mention everyone on Kick, Rumble, and Abstract, and Spotify later. Appreciate every single one of you guys.
Absolutely. Without you guys, we couldn't do this. So we're very grateful for each and every one of y'all. But also without our partners, we couldn't do it as well. And if you could check them out, we'd greatly appreciate that. And Sats Terminal is the DEX aggregator swap for the entire Bitcoin ecosystem. And we were just speaking about Spark, the Spark token standard. You're going to be able to swap for that directly on Sats Terminal because it aggregates from all of the launch pads. So you won't have to worry about, switching from one launch pad to the other. You're going to be able to do all that in one-stop shop here. Also, you can currently swap for Bitcoin runes or Altcoins, and you can earn Amber points as well. Make sure you check out their borrowing and lending protocol. We're going to have Stan, the CEO, on tomorrow and do a live walkthrough on how you can borrow against your Bitcoin, right? So really, really awesome episode tomorrow. Excited for that. Head over to satsterminal.com to learn more today. And then Emblem Vault is the interoperability layer for the Bitcoin ecosystem. You can jump your ordinals to Ethereum currently. You can take a loan out against your Taproot Wizard and on the Gandhi application, right? The largest borrowing and lending application on Ethereum. And so they're going to open that up to other chains as well, like Abstract, Arbitrum, Base, and possibly Merlin chain as well. So a Bitcoin layer 2 in there. And then Solana, of course, will be integrated as well. And speaking of Solana, they have the best AI product in the Solana ecosystem with Agent Hustle. If you go to agenthustle.ai, you can actually ask Hustle to grab some solid Solana plays for you, right? And possibly 2 to 5x. He'll bring some reasons why he thinks that these are good plays. Also, you can make some conditional trades with Hustle. They upgraded the conditional engine, so it should be working flawlessly. There are subscription models to Hustle. There's a free one. You don't get all the tool sets. So if you want the advanced tool sets, there is a paid subscription model. You get a discount too if you pay in Hustle, which is the single token that powers all of Emblem Vault's ecosystem. Hustle is on Solana. You can check that out if you'd like. And then also they have another product called migrate.fund that is getting a lot of attention right now. If you launched a token on PumpFun or another launchpad, they can help you migrate to the other launchpad or just manage the LP yourself. If you want to check out the first cohort, go to migrate.fund. You can see the projects. There's a lot of the community has migrated over from each project. So it's a huge success so far for this first cohort. So congratulations to Jake and his team over at Emblem. But head over to emblem.vision to learn more about all these products today. And then Artura.finance is the perps and leverage DEX of the Bitcoin ecosystem. Very soon, you'll be able to trade synthetic Bitcoin fungible tokens on their platform. There's a trading competition right now, which includes Bitcoin and Ethereum. And that first place P&L, which I believe is like $400. If you can beat that, you'll get 5,000 USDC. The competition, I believe, ends in 2 days on October 2nd. So, and then 5,000 USDC will be split amongst the next couple winners there. Also, there is a prize for 20,000 ARA tokens that's up for grabs from this competition as well. And when you use the platform, you will be earning points on Botanic's Spider Chain Bitcoin Layer 2 as they are tracking all the transactions there. So head over to Artura.finance today. And don't forget to catch the Trader's Edge at 2 p.m. Eastern today, as we'll get into information about their TGE and their features that they'll be adding to the platform. And then Tokyo Wallet is the multi-chain smart wallet that's building for the best UI and UX for their builders. They support 3 ecosystems right now in Bitcoin, Cardano, and Sui. So you can trade for tokens within those ecosystems as they have partnered with DEX aggregator swaps in each ecosystem directly in their wallet. They have their PC app that's going to be coming soon, so you can connect directly from your computer as well. So make sure you're following them on X to be updated on that update once PC is available. Should be game changing for them. So make sure that you go to the Apple App Store if you have an iPhone, or Google Play if you have an Android, to download the application and check it out. And there's also a small alpha section there where you'll find our YouTube channel and other YouTubers as well. Head over to Tokyo.io to learn more today. And then Merlin Chain is uniting Bitcoin strength through the power of AI. They have their AI product called the Wizard 2.0. If you go to the link, it's the beta link there. You can use the Wizard to get information cross-chain, right, on Solana or BNB. You can swap from Merlin Chain directly into Solana tokens or BNB tokens as well. All you need to do is have the Merlin Bitcoin in your wallet, and then that's possible. Also, the Wizard can grab information about, like, top 10 wallets in certain coins and cross-chain and other chains as well. So very, very helpful tool there. Also, they have a proof of stake system on Merlin Chain. So there's 3 options for you to participate in that. The first option is to stake Bitcoin to earn more Bitcoin, which that first staking vault closed today, but the average was 17% APR. So really solid APR, and it's all paid in Bitcoin. I believe October 8th is the date that you can claim your rewards for staking for this Bitcoin, but they're going to be opening up another vault, coming up here very soon. So stay tuned for that. And then there's 2 options for the Merlin Chain side. There's the flexible, which is a day-to-day staking option. You earn 15% APR, and you can roll those rewards daily into a compound interest strategy there. Or you can just keep them in your wallet if you want. It does take 7 days to cool down if you want to withdraw. There's a cooldown period for that. And then there's the 6-month staking option, which you earn 45% APR. And you can claim those rewards daily and roll them in if you'd like as well, or keep them in your wallet. It's up to you. Head over to merlinchain.io to learn more. They're going to be at Token 2049. So make sure you swing by their booth if you want to say what's up to Jeff and his team. And lastly is the guys from Ordinal Hive. They have a big announcement coming up. Make sure you are following them on X because it's pretty big there. These guys have built the fastest Ordinal platform marketplace in the industry. They also have live mempool insights and a bunch of other trader tools as well. If you utilize the platform, you earn points that go towards future give back for early adopters. All that great stuff. They also have a Ordinal Hive B collection that minted out about 3 weeks ago. So you can find it on their platform or Magic Eden as well. Head over to ordinalhive.io to learn more. And we thank you guys so much for checking out our partners. We greatly appreciate each and every one of you guys that have stuck with us throughout this entire tough bull run year, but it looks like we might be going into some easier times. So thank you guys.
Oh man, I really hope you're right. The more and more I see just red, I just don't know, man. It might be Q1, guys. It might be Q1, but definitely if they appreciate you guys checking out partners, and if you guys have time, check out the amazing site we have here. We have onchainrevolution.io. Check out all the articles here. We have articles dating all the way back from 2023. If you want to learn about ordinals back then or what we have been doing today, all these articles are perfect for you guys, man. Check them all out here. And on top of that, if you guys need a VPN, I highly recommend Nord. I use it every single day. You get 77% off Nord's VPN 2-year plan. And now you're getting an extra 3 months. This is brand new. And on top of that, it's $3.09 a month. Lock it in. $66 for 2 years. Lock it in, set it, forget it. Now you have VPN. Now you can use sites like Hyperliquid. You can use sites like MEXC. And as long as they have no KYC, you are good to go because they can't geo-block you if you're in the correct area. So definitely want to be a part of that. You definitely want to make sure you're masking your identity too, guys. You don't want to be out there just giving your IP address to all these different projects out there. It's stupid. There's no reason to do it. And having a VPN equals privacy. So definitely check that out. And check out our merch store. It's some of the best merch in all of crypto, hats, jackets, shirts, and much more. Check it out here at onchainrevolution.io. And no matter what the markets look like, we will always be here for you guys. So to make sure you guys tune in all week, Monday to Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week, guys. Until tomorrow.
Peace.
Market recap. You're not bullish enough. No. Look at the price go. Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear trap. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. can take profit right now. On-chain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed, gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and marching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nukes are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction. On-chain revolution.